Microphone.
Thank you. Roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson,
Here.
Mr. Harry Block,
Here.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick,
Here.
Mr. Jack Turner,
Present.
Lily Campbell, present. All right, do we have public comments?
We have no public comments tonight.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Gosh, it sure looks good to look out there and see so many wonderful faces. Thank all of you for being here with us tonight. We're glad to see you. And for those of you who are watching us virtual, thank you for being with us this evening. We are here to have a really interesting board meeting with good information. So with that, we are going to get started because we have some important stuff to do tonight. The first thing we have is our annual organization meeting. And we have several items. This is for the board members. We have several items to be approved by the board. First will be appointment of board officers for 2024-25. We'll have a comment and a vote on the president. Is there anyone here, board members, who is just ready to go for the presidency of our board?
Well, I think we have a very capable, conscientious, gracious president at the moment.
I agree.
And hearing no objection, I would even go so far as to say that we should probably keep the same lineup as we've had. Since we have a new administration, why shake up the board?
And
So that would be my motion.
That would be your motion. Would you please put it in a form of a motion?
I would move that we have the same board officers in the same positions as we currently have for the next year.
And that would be president, vice president for you, secretary, Mr. Block, treasurer, Mr. Anderson. So those are the officers. Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Oh, we have a second. All right, we are open for discussion. Any discussion, anyone? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Harry Block,
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick,
Yes?
Mr. Jack Turner.
Yes.
Well, I guess it's me, huh? I guess I have to prove to yes. All right. So our officers for 24-25, I will repeat again, President Lily Campbell, Vice President Bruce Mandrick, Secretary Harry Block, Treasurer Mark Anderson. And those officers have been approved. And thank you for your vote of confidence of all the officers, but most certainly for me. I hope I am fulfilling your needs and meeting with everyone in the schools. So thank you again for your vote of confidence. And this is a wonderful board. I've been on several boards. And I have to say, they are here, ready to work, and have done their homework and ready to go. So I really appreciate working with you. So thank you, board. You are there and ready to work. I appreciate it. Okay, the next item is approve of representatives for CBAC. And that's Mr. Harry Block. Do you have any comments or anything before we take a vote on it?
I don't know if that's someone want to take that position out.
I don't think so. You've done a great job with as the CBAC representative. Okay, I'll need a vote for it.
I moves.
Okay?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Anything? Hearing none? Roll call. Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Harry Block,
Yes.
Bruce Mandrick,
Yes?
Jack Turner,
Yes.
and Lily Campbell. All right. The next item is the GCC Foundation representative, and that's Mr. Mark Anderson. So, Mark, do you have any comments, anything?
Love doing it.
Love doing it? Okay, I will entertain a motion for
I would
Mr.
move approval.
Move
I second.
approval. And second, all right. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Mark Anderson?
Yes.
Harry Block?
Yes.
Bruce Mandrick?
Yes.
Jack Turner?
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. Okay, and we have one more item for consideration for approval or non-approval, and that's the approval of the GCC board meeting dates. And you have those in front of you, and we did get them last week at our regular board. Any comments on those dates? Anything?
My understanding is that we're going to try to stay to one meeting per month, unless, obviously, when we're doing school reports, that we'll have multiple meetings.
Yes, so as you look at your calendar, it really kind of goes to about one meeting a month. This does fit all of the statutory deadlines that Elmira needs in terms of approving first interim, second, an adopted budget. You will notice that in the month of June, there are 2 meetings to still stay in line with our ability to do a public hearing on the LCAP, and then the second meeting to adopt the budget. So if a need arises,
Okay.
we would have a special board meeting. But as we have kind of looked this year to see the flow of work, we feel that this is a supportable calendar.
Yeah, my concern was that you would be available, we would be available if we needed to have an extra board meeting. So that's always in line. Okay.
And Madam President, I will add to this discussion that most of our authorizers, as well as many other districts, have gone to this very similar model. So it's not something out of the ordinary that we're going to model like this.
I have a quick question. Do we have an idea of where the retreats are going to be held?
Currently, tentatively, our retreats will be held here. So we'll be local here in our offices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the site that we had the last retreat, so I just thought I'd push that as a possibility.
Okay.
That was the Sierra
Sierra
Health Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sierra Health.
we'll make note of that.
Okay. Any other discussions, questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, we will entertain a motion for the approval of the GCC board meeting dates for 2024, 2025.
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Roll call. Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Harry Block,
Yes.
Bruce Mandrick,
Yes.
Jack Turner,
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. So we have concluded with all of the organization items. I believe we have taken care of them all. Any comments or anything else on that item? Okay, hearing none, we shall move on. And we are now ready for the superintendent's update. So we're on, Superintendent.
Great, thank you, Madam President. First of all, good evening and welcome to everyone, and definitely want to take this opportunity to congratulations to our new board officers. I guess I could say it that way, but to our continuing board officers. I'll update my notes to say, but again, one of the things that I hope that obviously our audience as well as our schools know that good governance requires continuity and consistency, and one of the things
commitment.
and commitment.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been very proud of is the work that this governance team has done, not only through the years, but in particularly this last year as we've transitioned the organization. So thank you for your continued leadership and for the service that you do on behalf of our 6,000 students and 800 employees. So thank you, board. I also hope that each of our board as well as administrators had a wonderful and exciting Father's Day. Tomorrow is Juneteenth and our offices will be closed. This is a significant day that commemorates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans in the United States, and I hope everyone takes the opportunity to celebrate and reflect on this very important day. One of the highlights of tonight's report that I'd like to share is we have our summer programs that have started. And so as of the printing of my notes here, we are excited to have 2,029 students participating in summer school and summer programs this year. This is a wonderful opportunity, and I want to affirm the leadership of Executive Director Takoy and Ms. Gloria Chacon. Oh, there she is. Yes, our summer school coordinator, Gloria Chacon. So thank you so much for the work. Our students are concentrating on English language arts, math, reading, as well as utilizing resources like iReady, library books, and some of our schools are also focused on credit recovery. Students are also participating in active games, enrichment, arts and crafts, as well as enjoying field trips to the MOSAC, or the Museum of Science and Curiosity here in Sacramento, and then the Sacramento Zoo. So we're even offering guitar, drum classes. So if you want to learn to play an instrument, go by and visit our schools. So looking forward to really seeing what our students accomplish in this second session of summer school. And so with that being said, just want to share with the board that our offices will be primarily closed during the first week of July as our staff is enjoying their break. And this has been a great school year, and we look forward to coming back next year for a new and exciting year. So thank you so much. That's my report tonight.
Thank you for your report, and it is so good that basically everyone will be leaving and taking some time off. You know, that is the thing that I really preach. You've got to take care of yourselves before you can take care of anyone else. And if you're not taking care of yourselves, you're not doing a very good job of taking care of our students and the other staff members. So I do encourage that. So thank you, and I hope you will listen to it and do as you're told to do. Take a vacation. Thank you. All right, so with that, we are now moving rapidly into our study session. And our first one is Community Outreach Academy Middle School, COA Middle School Annual School Reports. Hey, Doctor.
So thank you, Madam President. Tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Daniel Diego, who, he's really no stranger to sharing the presentation stage, but tonight will be his first presentation as the principal of COA Middle School. Really excited and proud of Dr. Diego's journey, but also proud of where he's going to take the school next as they continue to level up. So I just wanted to take that moment to officially welcome him to this stage, and it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, and thank you to everyone for being here. President, Vice President, board members, Superintendent Sample, Cabinet. It is with great pleasure that I'm here for my first end-of-the-year presentation report as COA Middle School Principal. I would like to take a moment first and thank some of my lovely team who came out with me today. We've got our site manager, Ilona, our registrar, Paul, our parent liaison, Svetlana. We've got our clerk, Deanna, our ASP supervisor, Ilona, and one of our amazing ELD teachers, Tanya. Thank you. Oh, we got a couple teachers in the back, Mr. Frankel and Mr. Coder. Thank you for the support, guys. All right. And then before I get started, I would also like to present the board with some gifts from our students. Our after-school program, our art class, and one of our 3D printing classes has made a few items for you, just to say thank you. We've got a little piece of art, 3D printed desk icon. All right. Well, as always, we're going to start with some good things, and it's always my pleasure to start with some good things. When I think about COA and I think about our school, I cannot help but first think about our whatever it takes culture. We say this all the time. Our dedication, whether it be to support students, families, and staff, goes beyond whatever it takes. Willing to do whatever it takes, but we're also willing to do whatever it takes for our families, for ourselves, and create a culture that not only welcomes families and students, but creates a sense of belonging. And I am incredibly proud to be here to be able to say that. Now, when I think about our school, there are a number of good things all over the place, but there are a few that I just wanted to point out here today. This year, we've been able to add and increase our academic supports for our students, our ASP program, after-school program, our summer school, our tutoring options, the resources and supports for our newcomer students, the addition of our reading intervention class all speak to the increased academic supports, and there's more than just that. This year, we've also increased the student and staff celebrations for positive behavior, for academics, and just for being amazing staff members. We found ways to just show our love. This year, as part of our school learning plan, we decided to focus on reading comprehension and vocabulary primarily. From that, we decided to bring in a couple other components to help support that. We focused on increasing time in class. We focused on missing assignments. We focused on communication and working with students and parents to understand the importance of all of this stuff. We knew that with our high number of ELs, reading comprehension and vocabulary was key across all content areas. I walk into a class and I see vocabulary being taught in art, being taught in dance, being taught in PE, not just the content areas. From here, our efforts have led to growth amongst students in their comprehension. So the students that were performing above grade level at the beginning of the year moved from 11% to 18%. In vocabulary, students performing above grade level moved from 8% to 16%. Down below, those percentages reflect the amount of students who were at or above grade level and where they moved by the end of the year. The bottom row is the first diagnostic, the top row is the top diagnostic. Regardless, in every area, we see growth, we see less red, we see more green, and we are really proud of the efforts that we've made. Within this school learning plan, like I mentioned before, we decided to focus on monitor absenteeism, attendance to maximize instructional time and communicate with our parents about the goals and the importance of being to class, as well as some other pieces that they may not have known coming to America from outside of the country. Within this plan, it led to professional development and support for our teachers, where we worked on building thinking classrooms, professional development with our math team, and we implemented a 3-part depth of knowledge training for some of our other staff. That's where they got to go in, learn about depth of knowledge, participate in learning rounds, and things of that nature. Now, looking a little deeper into the data, we have our iReady results from our certain subgroups. We can see our English learners having grown in both areas, our economically disadvantaged students, as well as our students enrolled in special education. We see, when I look at the numbers for this, just for your knowledge, our English learners moved from 2% at or above grade level to 7% at or above grade level in comprehension. They moved from 1% in vocabulary at or above grade level to 6% at or above grade level. Again, the red is showing major decreases. Our economically disadvantaged students showed similar results, with 19% at or above to 27 at or above by the end of the year. In vocabulary, 14% at or above, and 23 at or above by the end of the year. Our students in special education were 3 or more grade levels below when it came to reading and vocabulary and comprehension. By the end of the year, there were 5% above that or 10% above that as well. Another part of our school learning plan was focused on student growth. And so the graphs that you see here are iReady measures. Our growth goal was for students to meet or exceed their typical growth goal, which is the amount of growth that a student at their level is expected to grow in a given year, and exceed their stretch growth, which is the amount of growth a student below grade level will need to show in order to be at grade level. When we look at these results, we see that this year, 61% of our students met or exceeded their typical growth goal. Last year, it was 56% having met. The year before, it was 52%. And with regards to stretch growth, we see 31% of students having met or exceeded their stretch growth goal. The goal was about 30% this year. So last year we had 26. The year before it was 24%. Each year we are making improvements and growing in that direction. When we looked at absenteeism, chronic absenteeism, which is quite the challenge, we saw that our numbers are down 2%, and we are planning to continue moving forward with that. We also looked at our reclassification because our English learners was a really big part of this. This year, our English learner reclassification is up to 28 students having been reclassified versus 13 students from the year before. In all of these areas, I think they highlight the efforts that we've put into our school learning plan and improving results for our students. Now, moving along to leadership. Building capacity, whether it's staff or students, is very important for us. This year, with the restructure, we were able to develop internal strengths and leverage the strengths of many of our new staff. All except for the vice principal in that list are internal staff who we've been able to identify strengths, build their capacity, and leverage them, move them into a new higher position. I myself am proud to be standing here as the principal. We have moved a teacher into the instructional coach position after years of working together. Same with the registrar, the site manager, our parent liaison. And then for our teachers, we've been able to not only help develop their capacity, but empower them to participate in things such as the GCC Teacher Leaders Program, where they were able to pursue some of their passion projects, which led to our Battle of the Books and some other beautification projects around campus. In addition to building capacity that way, and in addition to the Building Thinking Classrooms work and the depth of knowledge training that I mentioned earlier, we've been able to provide professional development for staff, giving them opportunities to attend a conference on the science of reading, participate in SIPS training, participate in learning rounds, and plan, do, study, act sessions. And then we have a couple teachers who have been able to offer after-school workshops related to GLAD and Teach Like a Champion strategies, all of which we plan to facilitate even stronger next year. Now, I can't talk about leadership without thinking about our students, especially at middle school. This is one of the things that I'm really proud of, and I'm excited about where we're going next year with this. This year, we've been able to empower our students to mentor other students in different ways, whether it be the fifth graders at the elementary school, doing some activities with the kindergarten students at the elementary school, or working with students in need of extra support within our own school. Some of our students have been able to participate in the GCC AI meeting that we held. We had another student recognized by AXA. She didn't quite get the award, but was recognized as a potential. We had students present at one of the board meetings. That was Anthony and Arena. And then we've had students engaged in other reflective projects and opportunities related to their student-led conferences, things like that. Around campus, we've empowered students to be leaders and provide school orientation for new students, especially those immigrant students. They meet with them, they go over the curriculum, show them how to use programs, give them a tour, make sure that they understand that they're here to support them in whatever they need that week, and they just check on them throughout the week and throughout the year. In addition to all of this stuff, we've really amplified our efforts to help build that career exploration and excite our students to pursue higher education or future endeavors. I put our Movers and Shakers program here. This is where we've invited guests throughout the whole year to come speak to different classes and sometimes to the whole school in a single assembly. These are typically adults from the community who have experienced hardships, immigration, and come out to persevere and achieve great things. They talk to the students about their experiences, about their career, and what it took for them to get there, and inspire them to strive for great things. We've had a variety of career representatives come out, and it's gone really great, and I'm looking forward to expanding that moving into the next year. Further along those lines, we've continued with our SOAR program. I believe we are in our 5th year of this partnership. This is SOAR stands for STEM Outreach Academic Reinforcement. It's a program that we started in collaboration with UC Davis Aerospace Engineering grad students and the California Aerospace Museum of California. Within this program, we have grad students who mentor, work with, share what they're working on in their their world with our students. They come to campus, do activities with them, and it's really designed to inspire them. We started this with the idea of inspiring women to pursue STEM, and it's just kind of expanded further. Right now, it's just our 7th grade students, but who knows where this is going to go in the future. Every year we do contests, patch design, and they share videos, Zoom, they show them what they're working on in the lab. It's a really cool project. And then the Aerospace Museum graciously hosts us and allows us to do our activities, our kickoff, things like that there. All right, when we look at equity this year, there are some highlights here that I wanted to talk about. I don't need to talk about everything, but some of the work includes the targeted things that we're doing with our counselor and student support advisor. We've added our reading intervention class, utilizing SIPs and Sunday. We've expanded other supports that I've already mentioned, and we've kept a focus on the needs of our parents and community as well. Those resources, working with the elementary school, the wider community, Sergey, all of that. Now, reflecting on the well-being, the goals of our school. Well-being is always important for our students, staff, families. This year, we have implemented PBIS rewards and increased our positive celebrations for behavior, for academics. We've developed stronger counseling services in the form of small group, one-on-one counseling, and other workshops for students. We have expanded our assemblies. We brought in assemblies for students related to signs of suicide, drug awareness, fentanyl, bullying, and we've continued our collaboration with Sammy Cater. He comes in every year, does a really nice, inspiring assembly for our 6th grade students about self-love. We started it with the whole school, but by now every grade level has been able to do it, so now we're doing just 6th grade, and then he does some other things with our students throughout the year. Up there, I have a couple new things that I also wanted to highlight that I'm super proud of. This year, we started a new tradition, our 8th grade affirmation walk. So right before promotion, all of our 6th grade, 7th grade students created signs, posters, affirmations. They lined the hallways with themselves and the signs. Our 8th grade students signed up. We played some music over the intercom, and they walked through while all the kids cheered them, gave them high fives, and really gave them a chance to say their last goodbyes as their buddies moved on to promotion. It was really cool and a really inspiring afternoon. A couple other things up here. The CCCS heart attack, I think, is another one of my highlights this year. It really speaks to the collaboration that we're seeking to do within, not only just between the staff of CCCS and COA, but within the students. So during CAST testing, our students created, we call it a heart attack. They created affirmations, positive signs, and they were mostly on little heart sticky notes. They put them all over the doors at the CCCS campus, really just to inspire them, to excite them to say, hey, you got this. And the CCCS graciously returned that with some signs of their own, and it was just a natural thing that came out of just us working together. We've invited them to events, and we plan to continue that. It was really nice to see, and it made us all feel really good. And then last, one of my favorite things has been having lunch with the students. We do a thing where they can earn lunch with Dr. Diego, have lunch with them. It gives me a chance to sit down, connect, talk to them about their things, their favorite teachers, their interests, and really hear what they're thinking, what they're feeling. A lot of times I think about those CKH surveys and would bring that into my my conversation with them, and it was a really wonderful time and really good way to support their well-being. All right, COA, a lot of opportunities. We have a ton of strong classes, some promising upcoming classes, which I'll talk about. Our electives range from art to language classes to engineering and design. I'm hearing a STEAM kind of theme coming up. And then we've been able to expand our after-school program. We offer after-school sports, not only through the district, but we have teachers who volunteered just to host after-school sports with our kids, volleyball in the gym. We do lunchtime clubs. We've empowered students to start their own clubs and lead their own clubs based on their own interests. We've started new events such as the Battle of the Books, and next year we're going to expand that to be a competition with us and CCCS. We've implemented the Wax Museum in 6th grade. It's a history project. We've continued with our kindergarten holiday store where our leadership kids go and work with the kindergarten kids. We've continued our Winter Wonderland, our Husky Games. We've built up our College Door Contest and are expanding that even more next year. We've provided amazing field trips and are adding more emphasis to our STEM. Right now it's 3D printing, engineering. We work with Headwaters Ranch as well as the UC Davis engineering grad students, and more to come. Now, thinking about the engagement with our community, that's another piece that I'm very proud of and excited to be here to talk about. We've continued to provide opportunities for parents to have coffee with the principal. We've provided meet and greet opportunities with me. I've been on the Ethno FM, just talking about our school, being interviewed for several things, writing articles for Diaspora. We've continued with food box distribution and other supports for our families. We've got everything from school site council to International Women's Day. We reach out to the community. We've done Socks for Soldiers. We've done parent workshops. We've focused on being present and engaged with everyone, including myself. That's been a big goal of mine this last half of the year. And then, like you know, we have the cultural fair and family reading night and Winter Wonderland. So many other things that we're doing to engage the community. So thinking ahead, what's next? Well, first year of principal, I am so excited. Slow for the long run, you know? So this year we have some big things: charter renewal, WASC mid-cycle visit. Confident that those are going to go smoothly. Next year, I'm really excited about the addition of some career technical education classes that we're offering. These are introductory CTE classes where students will be able to learn 10 different pathways. They'll rotate throughout the year. That will give them an idea of perhaps pathways that they want to pursue as they go to high school. That's the goal for that class. We're adding 2 Project Lead the Way electives taught by our science teachers on design and engineering and flight and space. We are adding the addition of student council next year. We want to hear more student voices. We want to empower them at that next level, and so I'm very excited about that. We've been talking with Andrea and our leadership team on the next steps to doing that. We're looking at MTSS, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 1 interventions. We've added a universal enrichment intervention time next year as part of that. In general, we're going to be focusing on some deeper improvement within certain systems that I've observed. Collaboration is going to be strong and taken to the next level when I look at our work with COA Elementary, CCCS, and Futures. I've got some lunch dates with them this week, and I'm excited to see what we do next year. The Immigrant Outreach Services is going to be key, working with Sergey, Larissa Gonchar, others in the community to figure out how can we continue to elevate, increase that support for our families. And then next year, we're working with our science team to bring in, now that we've had the Social Studies Wax Museum, science fairs for next school year. So that is, in a nutshell, my year at COA. It's been a great one, and I'm incredibly thankful to be here. And just want to say thank you. Are there any questions for me?
I have a whole bunch. Well, not really questions, but comments. You've been there as a principal now, what, 3?
May 1st was my official start date
May
as principal.
1st was your official day, but you were there as the vice principal.
Yep, third-year
Yeah.
vice principal
Third-year
at the
vice
middle
principal.
school.
Because I can't see how all of this has happened within the time that you were principal. So you've done some of this while you were
Been behind the
vice
scenes
principal.
working my magic.
Oh, yeah. And it's all good. It really is. I'm going to stop just for a minute and give the board members opportunity. Board members? Yes, Mr. Turner.
Well, I also want to say welcome, and I really appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
And just a number of questions. You noted the decline in chronic absenteeism is down 2%.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as we know, that is still almost double what it was pre-pandemic numbers. Can you develop, what are you doing to try to address that?
Absolutely. So we, midway through the year, toward the beginning of the year, I guess, I started attending these differentiated assistance meetings in collaboration with Roman Prishliak at the elementary level. We started looking at our chronic absenteeism. By then, it was halfway through the year, so we kind of got started a little bit later on that. But our methods, we looked at the communication, calling parents in to meet with them, talking to students. Every week I write a family weekly message and talk about the importance of that. During our workshops, we talk about the importance of attending school. We focused on helping parents understand the ways in which school operates here and what constitutes an excused absence, unexcused absence, and helping them see other alternatives. You know, if they've got to travel overseas, let's wait till summer school. And so we started calling parents in, started meeting with them regularly. Unfortunately, it didn't happen until I started, moving up into my position. And so it's been a real big push on communication and education amongst students and parents and teachers as well. And working with Roman, we've got a plan for next year on what we need to do day one, started at the end of this year, but really what we need to do day one as far as our processes and how to continue this momentum.
Well, we really appreciate that and keep that effort up.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm kind of interested, you said you have students participating in is it the AI committee or council?
So we have the AI GCC group, and there was a meeting where students from some schools came, they offered input, insight, helped to brainstorm ideas, really just to represent student voice. And one of our students participated in that.
Okay. Well, where do you see, and I know it's really new, and certainly we can talk about it a year from now, but where do you see AI being integrated into your educational scheme?
So we're already seeing exploration right now,
Yeah.
not only at the GCC level, but within some of our teachers. And right now, some of the ideas we're exploring, one on a teacher level, creating rubrics, ideas, looking for lesson plans. I've got these standards, putting it in there. What can I create? I need an investigation, some things like that. We've been trying to help students learn how to best use AI, not so much in a recreating way, but generating, writing, revising, assessing that, and really just educating on what it is and how sometimes it can be, it's similar to, I don't want to say cheating and plagiarism, but helping them understand the differences and how you can use it. I have one teacher who has experimented a little bit with having students do some reflection into it. I've had teachers do things where they say, I want you to answer these questions as if you were a famous historian. And then the kids ask questions and they get some answers back, somebody who may not be around and things like that.
Keep that effort up, because I think AI is one of those, we're right on the cutting edge of it. We're a new, innovative modality, at least in education, that we can really see the future for. So really keep that effort up. Thank you.
Absolutely. I've seen our art teacher explore some AI image creation with their art classes as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Mr. Anderson.
Great presentation, Daniel.
Thank you.
Couple of questions. I'm intrigued with the mentorship. Have you formalized that? How did you all kind of put that together?
For students or with UC Davis?
No, with students mentoring others.
So it started as just an informal piece with our leadership class, looking at how can we help support our newcomer students, working with the leadership class that way, and knowing who to connect them to, and then it just became a part of what that class is and does, a part of their curriculum.
I see. And how many students are participating in that?
We have 20 leadership students.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. Jack talked about the chronic absenteeism, and you also hit on one that I ask all the teachers, and that's parent participation. I saw the engagement piece.
Yeah.
How satisfied are you with the engagement with parents at this point?
Always room to grow. I'm pleased with the fact that parents will come to the events that we host, especially when they come to meet me and things like that. But I really, really, really am interested in making that, just expanding that. Not satisfied with where we are, but I am pleased with the fact that they show up. And that's one of my goals, is to, when I look into next year, is not only communicating, working with them, but finding alternative ways to engage with them and increase that participation.
Okay, and a follow-on to that is, you mentioned that you have parent workshops. So can you give me an idea of what kind of workshops are you conducting?
Yeah, it depends, but we've had some that were how to support your teenager during this time. We've had parent workshops on the curriculum and programs that we're offering. We've had parent workshops on identifying certain resources within the community, things like that. And then we're looking at even like reading kind of, language supports for our students, our parents that way.
Okay, and one last question. We heard the stats on summer school, which is fantastic, 2,000 students. How many of your students do you know are going to be taking advantage of summer school this year?
So I believe we have 80 registered?
Okay,
Yeah,
great. Well, again, great job. Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? You hit on several of the absenteeism was one of my first ones. And I appreciate the fact that more staffs have moved up from different positions. I want to congratulate you on that. And you mentioned having people come in to speak to the students who have come through. You've got board members here.
Oh, man, next year.
That's it.
You got it.
Okay, all right. And I really appreciate the assemblies that you've had on suicide prevention, bullying, and what have you, because that is very prevalent
Yeah.
in the young people today.
Vaping,
So,
fentanyl. Oof.
yes, yes, yes. So thank you for thinking about that and going outside of the box to make sure the students are aware of what's happening in our society.
Thank you.
So again, thank you. We are so proud. Oh, yes.
Again, thanks a lot for the information. We're going to be adopting the budget for the entire organization this evening, and we hear a lot about what's happening on the macro level in terms of the state and whatever. How are you seeing the cuts and reductions in the state affecting your programs?
Well, I'm still really learning things like that, how it's going to relate to my school. But I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of, what's the word? Just the way in which we're spending things, being very cautious, hard about it, really thinking, do we need this? Are there alternatives? I want to make sure that anything we spend, we are considering the potential repercussions. Is it something we're proud to say we're spending money on? Is it something that we need? And when it comes to programs for our students, I feel like that will be the emphasis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one final thing, I want to recognize your staff. You did.
Thank you.
But I want to raise your hand again so that I can properly thank you on behalf of the board. If you want to stand, you can stand. But I really,
And I think we got to say Eric has become an unofficial member of COA as well.
yes, I really appreciate your being here with your principal and supporting the school and the students and parents. So thank you very, very much. Wonderful, wonderful stuff going on there. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Great job, Dr. Diego. I also want to just take this opportunity, during what we call the interim period, as we were identifying and finding Dr. Diego as our next leader, I want to recognize Dr. Eric Crawford, who is our Director of Student Services and Special Education, who was the interim principal and leader at COA Middle School, really Eric was there from the end of from the end of January, all the way through the time that we found Dr. Diego. So I just want to also take this opportunity to thank Eric for his leadership at the site, too.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you again, and thank you for the gifts for the board.
Enjoy. Thank you. My pleasure.
Forward to next year, and all of the good things. And now we are moving on to our next presentation. Oh, thank you. We're moving on to our next presentation. Sacramento Academic and Vocational Academy, Salva's Annual School Report.
So I'd like to There's no mascot, no saber cat that's going to run through here today?
We almost had that happen. But
Okay, all right, I just needed to check.
we didn't, huh?
So I want to introduce Director Summer Ash, who is here tonight to present on the 3 SAVAs. So, Director Ash.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Sample, Board President, Board members, and Executive Directors. Thank you for having me. Again, I'm Summer Ash, Director of Sacramento Academic and Vocational Academy, and I'm here to present the 23-24 SAVA end-of-year report, and I'm excited to be here. Let's jump into good things. I want to start off with my first good thing is, let me switch the slide. Oh, I have a clicker. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize. Hello. I thought it was someone else doing it for me. Thank you. All right, good things. Want to start off with my first good thing is we decided to expand our SAVA TR facility in December of 2023, and since then we have grown enrollment 60 students during that time, and I want to thank the board for seeing the vision that we have for the facility and for expansion of SAVA TR. Part of that is also an affirmation to my campus principal, Chelsea Stafford here, who also has the vision to grow and expand our programs for our students. We also launched our green energy pathway, and you can see the bottom picture is the day 1 of the EV conversion, repair, and maintenance class, where we had 25 students enroll in that class, and 24 out of 25 finished that course in the spring semester. So really highly engaging class that we were able to launch in spring of 24. We also, a good thing, we were just announced that we were awarded $1.7 million in the Golden State Pathways Grant to help support our CTE pathways and expanding our programs. I also want to thank Ashley Madden, Director Ashley Madden, for support in writing that grant. And then we recently were chosen by the Power In Alliance to receive the Powering the Future Award. This is an award given to innovators in the community, and they nominated and accepted SAVA as receiving that for our programs that we do for our students. Again, we're a CKH showcase school, and another good thing, we launched our school spirit. So yeah, the Sabercat. We officially voted on and launched our SAVA Sabercat mascot. We're tying this into school spirit, sports, events, pictures up there. I mean, you guys all, a lot of you experienced the Sabercat at the end of year event, so it was fun to have that as something to tie our staff and students to. Moving through for academic learning. As you can see, for our iReady scores across all of our SAVA schools and within math and English, we grew from Diagnostic 1 to Diagnostic 3 in all areas except for 1. And then I also wanted to highlight in this slide our pilot of the 9th and 10th grade cohorts this year. We piloted at Power In and Elk Grove 9th and 10th grade cohorts that had more time, students had more time on campus, more instructional opportunity. We saw that our 8th graders are retaining more from 8th to 9th grade at a 95% rate or higher across all of our SAVA schools. And we looked at our data in terms of providing live class instruction by credentialed teachers that we have on campus versus our Edgenuity program. And we saw that students are learning and growing more with our live classes. So we decided to pilot 2 different cohorts, one for 9th grade and one for 10th grade, to give more time on campus, more direct live instruction, and less online instruction. Coming from middle school, they're here 4 days a week at SAVA, and then going into 9th and 10th grade, adding that additional time. So if you look at that one chart over to the right-hand side, the typical growth for iReady in English is 18 points, and is math for 12 points in these grade levels. And so our 9th grade cohort students that were in this piloted program grew over the expected amount in English and almost to the expected amount in math. But the students that were 9th graders not in the cohorts didn't reach even close to those levels. And then similarly for 10th grade cohort students, they exceeded the growth targets where the students not in those cohorts were not even close to that. So we're seeing lots of great positive learning and movement for our students in these cohorts. In addition, our 9th grade students, 92% of them completed 50 to 65 credits for the entire school year, which is huge. We want to make sure our 9th graders are not falling behind in that first year of high school. 10th grade cohort, 90% of students earned 10 credits in Integrated Math 2 with a C or better. That was a live course that they attended. 100% of students earned 10 credits in English with a C or better. Again, another live course that they had to attend. And then the average number of credits completed by our 10th graders was 60 credits for the school year with an average GPA of 3.4. So already seeing the phenomenal growth with expanding those programs. Talking about our school learning plan, SAVA's 5-year vision, which we're in year 1 of, is 100% of our SAVA students will graduate CCI prepared. Our problem of practice for this work in our school learning plan was our 4th year graduate cohort will be placed in academic intervention if not on track to meet their 4-year graduation goals. So we really took a deep dive into looking at our cohorts, seeing who we can target intervention for gaining their learning gap knowledge and for getting them back on track with their schoolwork. I want to affirm Executive Director Joy Takoi in her support with our learning plans and setting up these goals and continuing that work throughout it. One of the great results that came from this, I'm going to give you one little example here, is at our Powering campus, 72.3% of SAVA students at Powering graduated in their 4th or 5th cohort, coming from 48% last school year. So huge growth by targeting intervention time for our students. I want to affirm our Vice Principal, James Stoops, for leading the work at Power In during this school year. So really great results. As you can see, some of our goals in terms of college and career preparedness, 2 years ago we had 0% of students prepared and 32 students approaching prepared. Last year we had 9% of SAVA students prepared and 32.6% approaching prepared, not just students, but percent of students. And so this is year 1. We're going to hopefully, and we will see exponential growth in students being prepared. And then as you can see, we continue to grow our CTE pathway completers, which is part of that path for preparedness. All right. Ooh, I want to affirm Christina and Leslie, our campus principals, for piloting the 9th and 10th grade cohort. Yeah, all right. Building capacity. So as we look at building capacity across our SAVA schools, just like Dr. Diego said, we want to grow from within, and we do that at SAVA constantly. I'm going to highlight a couple of other areas that we are building capacity for leadership. One of those is with our middle school staff. As we've grown middle school across the 3 SAVA campuses, our PBL focus is huge, and we want to align that. So we're bringing our middle school teachers together and aligning our best practices, aligning and making sure our standards are being implemented with those project-based learning projects. I want to affirm Middle School Administrator Michael Mendoza for leading that work across all of the SAVA schools. Another area that we are building capacity is within focus groups. All the different things that we're doing at SAVA is it's not coming from one person. We're bringing focus groups together, student focus groups, parent focus groups, partner groups, teacher groups, staff groups, to get input on how we are continuing to grow our SAVA programs, continuing to leverage best practices for students and learning for students. So it's not coming from admin, it is coming from the voices of our focus groups and of our staff and of our students and of our families and partners. Nothing's being done without their input, which is just making everything even better. Another piece in terms of building capacity is our Young Women's Enterprising event that we had this year. We had over 75 young women from SAVA, Futures, and CCS attend that. That's that first top picture on top where they learn financial literacy skills. We had about 10 women business leaders within the Sacramento region speak about how they became business owners, and then they got into small groups and mentored students. And just the feedback from our students was amazing. The women told their stories, and our students could see themselves in those stories, could see themselves in their presentations. And for our students to have those role models and see, like, I can do that. I can be a business owner. I can do that next step was huge for our students. Another great opportunity for our students was I was able to take a student panel to the California Association of Administrators and State Federal Programs at the Capitol downtown, and they got up in front of over 200 men and women in business suits during a general session, and it was so cool, you guys. We had high schoolers from different schools go up before us, and they were fantastic. They spoke really well. They knew what they were going to say. And our students got up and they did the same. They spoke really well. They knew what they were going to say, and they added another layer. They spoke from the heart. They talked about our CTE programs. They talked about how we build relationships at SAVA and GCC. They talked about how we provide mental health services, how we support our English learners. And during that time, I was in the audience, and I could just hear people saying, like, whoa, oh, what, they do that? Like, I didn't hear that when anybody else spoke. And it like gives me chills just to think about it now. And they came off of that stage as if they won the basketball championship. So excited, so pumped up. And just to have our students in front of so many people, in front of so many business women and men presenting was a huge accomplishment for them. And I'm just so proud of our students doing that. All right, special populations and support. Want to talk about middle school and our MTSS program. This year we really launched in middle school Tier 2 MTSS for all students. So we did strategic grouping to make sure that we were supporting students in their learning gaps for all of our students in middle school. I want to affirm Executive Director Heather Gold for supporting us with our MTSS work and our professional development. Went a long way for implementation this year and continuing it that next year. Also want to talk about, as we look at special populations, looking at some of our subgroups at SAVA, our SPED I-Ready growth. When we're targeting looking at our SPED population, our English growth for SPED was over 4%, and our math growth was over 2%. So really making sure that we're setting up supports for our special populations in special education. And then I also want to talk about our English learners. This year, as we looked at our reclassification rate, as we looked at our English learner data, we realized like we're not hitting the mark here at SAVA in supporting our English learners. What is it that we need to do? So we brought in an outside consultant who spent multiple days at SAVA looking at our program, talking to students, sitting in classrooms, talking to admin, really taking the full scope of what we do for our English learners, good and bad, good and areas of improvement. And then on actually just last Friday, she came and she brought her findings, brought her recommendations, and it is supporting us in moving forward to support our English learners in our goals. One of the first pieces that we even talked about, what is the EL vision for SAVA, and what do we want to see our students become? We have a vision for our SAVA students, but what is it for our English learners? And that includes, every student getting reclassified by the time they graduate and incorporating the seal of biliteracy for our English language learners. And again, that's going to be a multi-year step process, but we're starting the good work now. So I'm really excited for that moving forward. As we move into well-being, want to really touch on some of the resource fairs and some of the exciting pieces that we did across SAVA. We had resources fairs all across all of our SAVA schools right before the holidays. And as you can see, the top two pictures showed kind of the before and the during of getting that set up. We had partners come in to talk to families about different resources in the community, and then we provided different, hygiene equipment, laundry detergent, heaters and things. And we had over 350 students and family members attend across all of our SAVA schools, which showed a huge need in the community community for these resources. I want to affirm also Leslie Warburton, campus principal at Elk Grove, for adding to some of these events. So she also provided a wellness fair. She did a cask rally warm-up to get students, warm up, do you hear that? Like a little play on words? To get students excited for testing. Superintendent Mr. Sample also attended one of those days, and he participated in a pie eating contest, and students everybody was so excited. I didn't put the picture in, I'm just saying. So really great stuff. For program offerings as we move forward here, I want to highlight in middle school our CTE exploration. This was the first year where we built in exploration in the middle school program. We want to make sure that our students are exploring all the pathways that Saba High School is offering so that they go into high school better prepared with more knowledge to determine what pathway they want to go into and complete. So that has been a huge success. I also want to highlight our partnerships. We have a huge partnership bucket at Saba. One of the cool things that happened this year was with our partner, Sacramento Air Quality Management, where they have been trying to build an air quality curriculum for the last year or so, and they haven't been able to launch it. And so they came to us and they're like, Saba, you get things done, you make it happen, you do good work, and they asked us to create an air quality curriculum that can be taught across the Sacramento region to high school students that we did complete. We're in the final stages of reviewing it right now, and Saba is going to implement that curriculum next school year along with hopefully other schools within the Sacramento region. So really proud of our work there. And then we offer over 100 live courses Saba-wide for our students, and this year we added the live course of Integrated Math 3 for our students, which is just another level up in terms of our students going through rigorous math programs. I want to affirm Executive Director Maury Elliott for his support with our green energy pathways and our partnerships, and I want to affirm Vice Principal Michael Sturday for his support with safety and facilities as we continue to grow our programs. Making it happen, you guys. All right, engagement. Stay with me. We got this. Internships. I want to talk about internships here. This has been fun this year. So, internships at Saba has always been something that we've wanted to implement with a high level of fidelity and passion. So we decided to spend this year creating. One of the things that we noticed was when we ask our partners to do internships with us, they're like, sure, okay, but what does that look like? And we're like, I don't know, what could you do? And it was like a back and forth. So we're like, okay, we need to build our own internship program. So we sat down this year, we mapped out a Saba internship program process, and then we were able to present that to our partners, and then they were like, yes, we're in it, we're good, I know what the expectations I need from me, from you, from the student, from the family, all those things. And we did a pilot program in the spring where we had 4 students run through the pilot program with 3 partners, Caliber Collision, Hyatt Regency, and Peak Adventures. They all got paid, and we did a launch day where you could see on this one, this is the executive chef at Hyatt, who is we have a culinary student interning with him, and they signed on. During signing day, we went over expectations, and all 4 students attended the mandatory workshops that Saba provided by our CTE counselor, and attended every day in their internships. Nobody missed any days at all, and it was so great to hear the feedback. As we move into the summer, we have 40 students placed in internships over this summer, and we're going to continue to grow this as we move into the fall. So really excited for that. I want to affirm our CTE admin, Rakita Bluford, for her hard work on that. What's next in terms of vision and future for Saba? I want to continue our intentional work around our Saba 5-year vision. 100% of our graduates will be CCI prepared, and then also that continued work with integrating academics and CTE within that vision. We want to implement our academic MTSS program. We did some work to grow that in middle school and high school with our seniors, and we will continue to launch that in the fall for all of our our students. We will have a full 9th and 10th grade cohorts across all of our SAVAs where everything's A through G aligned, getting them ready for college or career. And we will launch our entrepreneurship pathway in the fall with one of our current clerks moving into that role, which is always fun. And then we want to build out, next year our focus will be building out our CTE advisory teams to give advice on our CTE curriculum, scopes and sequences, pathways, make sure we're staying relevant. We're going to continue to expand our internship program. We want our Build Your Future class, which we launched this year with 9th graders. We're working on articulating that with CRC so that all of our 9th graders leave 9th grade with dual enrollment credit. And then we look forward next year for TR's charter renewal, and the following year, Elk Grove and Sac City's charter renewal. I also want to frame, I missed it, for our EL work, campus principal Nina Lorenzi and all of her work on that and supporting that moving forward. I want to make sure I get my affirmations in. All right, thank you all, appreciate you. Questions, comments?
Yes. I need to say this, but I hope it doesn't reflect on any of the other schools, but SAVA is near and dear to my heart. It really is. All the schools are. But SAVA is special. When I start talking about GCC and what we do, it always comes back to SAVA. And I'm saying if it were not for SAVA, for the programs, where would those students be? Out on the street. And that's why it is so near and dear to my heart, because I see exactly what is happening and what you all are doing. And it's so impressive. And I want to thank those who started, Maury, those who are keeping it up. As a director, you are really in tune to what's going on with all of the SAVAs. And I just can't thank any of you enough, because you're saving lives out there, and you're giving students the ability to grow and to be viable human beings and adults. So I just can't thank you enough. It really makes, you can hear it in my voice. I need to stop.
Well, yes, I agree. We do have we had a student in the audience. We did. We had Maya Bigby in the audience also, who is jumping into an internship here at GCC.
And she had to leave.
But she was here also, and that was just another testament to that affirmation.
It's just absolutely fantastic. That's the word that I have to use for SAVA. And I know there's growth. There's still a lot to be done, but you're working at it. You're not saying we're there. You're saying we need to continue with what we're doing and to continue to build on it. And that's the part that I appreciate more than anything. Yes,
Thank you.
Jack.
Well, all I can say is, wow, your presentation confirms that great things are happening at SAVA.
Thank you.
The Golden State Grant, could you develop that a little bit? What is that grant really what does it provide?
Yeah, so it was a one-time grant that the state was offering to schools to provide continued expansion and growth for our CTE programs. So the unique thing about this grant was you were able to write 4 different pathways versus just for schools. So we were able to focus in on different pathways that we wanted to either grow or expand to implement going into the next 4 years with those funds.
Well, all I can say is congratulations, and write more grants. Just doing that. Just a couple of comments. Your data and your study on live instruction versus independent study through virtual instruction validates almost all the other research that's been done in that field about having the students in a classroom or live instruction. It doesn't have to be a classroom. And I have to say, it's like your focus groups, that is really gutsy. When you bring in people from the outside community or even your own students and ask them, what's your real opinion of this particular program or what we're doing, that's when you really come to know what you're doing is right and what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
And finally, this is probably for any Elliot or whatever, when do we get a ride in the EV?
Soon.
Soon, in the fall.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, Summer, as always, great presentation. Congratulations to the entire SAVA team. I know you. You've done fantastic work this entire year, and I appreciate you.
Agreed.
I also want to bring up something that you said, that
Yeah.
you've increased to 73% of students graduating in 4 years. That's
Yes, at our Powering
At
campus.
your Powering
yes.
campus, that is phenomenal. It's
Yep.
great work. Jack mentioned the 360 approach to focus groups, and it is gutsy. How often do these groups meet? Is this like quarterly or?
Yeah, so for students, it's monthly. For families and parents, I would say quarterly. It depends on kind of what it is that we're discussing and where we are. So we had a focus group with parents and partners around MTSS. We had it around our internship program. We had it around our cohort program. So depending on kind of where we were on that journey, we would pause and, get that feedback and get that input. And then with staff, similarly, at least once a quarter.
Good TQC, I love it. Student leadership, I'm impressed with that as well. Are these students also part of your focus group as well?
Yeah, many of them are part of the student focus group, and there are some that are also on Superintendent Sample's Superintendent Council, Student Council.
And there's 20 of them, or is that just the ones that were represented at the leadership event?
Those were students that were just at the leadership event, but in terms of student leadership across our schools, I would say we have approximately 20 to 25 in leadership programs.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And what has been your participation level by parents and guardians in your resource fairs?
Yeah, so I mean, for the resource fairs in particularly, I mean, we had that over 350 students and families in attendance. I don't have the breakdown between students and parents, but we also focused on this year intentional orientations and events, evening events. So we had an event for only our graduating seniors to bring their families at the beginning of the year to talk about the supports that our students need in that cohort. We had a event where we did just around transfer students. So students coming in typically at that 11th grade year, 12th grade year, transferring in. What does that look like for you, for the parents? How do you support your students? And then we had an 8th grade moving into 9th grade event. So really targeted events that have high impact content, and we saw a lot more families participating.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work.
Thank
I know
you.
you will.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, thanks for your enthusiasm.
Of course.
Same question I
love
asked COA. What impacts do you see going forward with the reductions at the state and federal level in terms of income? How is it impacting your future programs?
Yeah, so one of the things that, we were conscious of as we were getting state and federal funding was to make sure that anything that we purchased or any position that we put into those fundings was sustainable. So a lot of our positions that we funded, we knew that we would have that backfill because they were funded out of either LCAP or general resource already. We were just freeing up money to use in other places, but we knew we would have that when we came back. So we did very minimal staffing, a lot of resources, contracts, because we knew that we wouldn't always have that money. So for SAVA, we don't see a huge impact of losing that as we move forward. Yep.
Great report, and I
Thank you.
have to say I visited some of those schools, especially I went over to one on Market, and there were some great things happening, and I told them I'll be back because I may have to take my first aid program. I have to do that. So they,
You can get CPR trained with us? Excellent.
all of that.
All right.
So, but it was good to see, and it was great. The kids, it was there, and I went back. I think it was raining that day or something. It was, and I had to cover up. But it's such a big campus now. I didn't realize how big it was. So it's great to see that, and it's great to have this for these kids today. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that was one of the coolest days is when our students moved into that campus and our middle schoolers moved out of the garage into classrooms, and just the pride and the joy on their face to be proud of where they were learning. It was evident day one. Thank you.
Again, thank you so very much. And now I need to recognize those people who make you look good.
Heck yeah, heck yeah.
Would you please stand or raise your hands or
yes.
whatever? All of you who are here supporting. Thank you. We're so very proud of you and what you do, the work that you're doing.
So we do have a little gift from our middle schoolers who participate in that CTE exploration. So this is made by them, designed by them for our board members. So I want to affirm the work that you're doing and thank you so very much.
When I was a kid, that's what I used to get.
It's not that, Mr. Block.
Thank you so very much.
Keep it moving.
This is gorgeous. It is beautiful. Thank you.
I know, I was going to say, for the record, these are cutting boards.
Thank you, guys, and anyone that has to leave, please do so. We hate to see you go, but we know you need to. Thank you. They are beautiful. Now we're moving on to still have a lot of items on our board agenda. So we're moving to local control and accountability plan, local indicators. Mr. Maury Elliott is the speaker.
Well, good evening, President Campbell, Superintendent Sample, and GCC Board. Tonight, we have a very brief update for you. In addition to the official LCAP being on the agenda later in the evening, tonight we wanted to give just a overview of the local indicators that are included in that LCAP packet. What are local indicators? On the California dashboard, we have a lot of academic data that we get from student test scores, different student demographics, absentee data, things of that nature. The local indicators are 7 specific items that the state does not measure on the dashboard that each LEA in the state is required to report on internally. So tonight in your board packets, you have a full report from all 9 GCC charter schools that gives this internal data for those really 5 indicators for us. There's 2 additional indicators that are just for county offices of education. So what are those indicators? First off, basic services and conditions. When we look at this and evaluate ourselves, we look at our facilities, make sure they're in good repair. We look at our instructional materials, ensure that students have access to the materials needed, and we look at credentialed teachers. The second item is the implementation of state academic standards. Here we focus in on how schools are providing professional learning to their teachers and ensuring that all state standard adopted curriculum is implemented with integrity at the school site. Priority 3 is parent and family engagement. Here, schools look at strategies and effectiveness of building relationships with families. The next one is priority 6, school climate, student survey data from families. We're looking at different surveys from Hanover to CKH and then other internal surveys done by each of the school sites. And then the 5th one that we look at, access to a broad course of study, ensuring that all students have access, with the emphasis on those unduplicated students, those that need it the most, to all of the standards aligned A through G curriculum that we offer. And then the other 2 items, which again are for county offices only, are listed in that last bullet point, the coordination of services for expelled students and for foster youth. That is the summary of what the local indicators are. You have the packets in your board binder, and at this time I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about the local indicators.
Any questions from board members? We did have the packet and we read them from all of the schools, so we did have it. And hearing no questions or comments, I believe we have to approve the local control and accountability plan.
This is just,
It's just information.
session item.
Oh, it is a study, so it's later, okay.
will be
Yeah, it is,
later
it's later,
as
yes.
part
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. All right. sorry, excuse me. Proposition 28, Art and Music in Schools Plan. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, President Campbell, Vice President Mr. Manrich, Treasurer Mr. Anderson, Secretary Mr. Block, and Board Trustee Mr. Turner, and last but not least, Superintendent Mr. Sample. I will be presenting on Prop 28, Art and Music in Schools. This is a new initiative, so I'll go into, which one did I press? Sorry. I'll try not to push the wrong button again. So the definition of arts and music, this is an initiative that was brought forward in a ballot, California ballot, that was increasing funding for art, music, education in public schools. There's 5 key points to this initiative. First one is how it's allocated. So it's required to be additional funds for the arts and music, and it should be supplementing existing budgets. Source of funds, it's 1% of the state's general fund. So that's how these get funded out to our schools. Use of funds, it could be used for hiring teachers, purchasing supplies, and supporting a program. There's also equity in distribution and making sure it focuses on closing the gaps in arts education. And accountability and transparency, that's why we're having a public meeting. This will also be on our website to show that we are demonstrating and ensuring that there's an impact with these funds. Prop 28 aims to enhance the arts and music in education, fostering creativity and critical thinking of students. This is our funding allocation for our 9 sites, so everybody's getting it regardless if it's seat-based or not. 80% of this Prop 28 funding must be spent on staffing. So paraeducators that are supporting classrooms with arts or music, teachers, certificated teachers. So that's 80% must be spent in that form. 20%, cannot exceed 20%, can be spent for professional development, material supplies, stipends for arts and music. So we can spend more in staffing if we'd like, but there's a cap on the 20% max. Prop 28 cannot be used to supplant current arts and music funding. And when they say supplant, it's really referring to our general fund, our unrestricted general fund. So next I'll go into what we're using it for, our implementation plan for 23-24. What Gateway has spent the funds are teachers, so art teachers, music teachers, design teachers, paraeducator, we have 1, contractors, field trips to enhance art, music, and materials. So you can see that that's what you can spend it on. We've pretty much touched base on all those components in our current year funding. Next steps, not all of our sites have fully implemented all these funds, so continually analyze the expenses of each site to see if they're meeting the full implementation or not, help them gather information on what they can use it for, help support what the needs are at the particular sites. Again, assessing just the existing programs to ensure that it's equitable across our sites, and also explore virtual opportunities for our independent study school. So that's going to be a little bit more difficult, but we can figure out ways and be creative. Also gather staff input on music, arts-related professional development. And that's it for me. If you have any questions.
It's interesting with a lot of programs, this one requires actual staffing and so forth. What guarantees continued funding in the program?
So this is ongoing funds. We get it every year, so it's not one time. So it will be ongoing.
But is there a built-in inflation factor, or is it, what's the funding
It's the
dependent
1%
on?
of state revenue, so it could go up, it could go down. It really depends on what the state revenue is. I would imagine that it would be a little bit higher, to be kind of impacted by COLA, would be my guess.
Yes, Jack?
Yes, this is a question for the superintendent. You know, I'm a very old drama teacher, so, but with using this money, we're going to have a musical theater presentation in our theater this coming year?
I would venture to say that you're going to see increase in some of our schools doing more. I will tell you, you know, you think about our IB schools, they've already been providing art and music, and even one of our schools, just this past week, we're talking about a music teacher now becoming part of their program. So I think we'll see some increase, but we have kind of been pretty active already in these areas
Good.
of art and music. But
Thank you.
I look forward to recruiting you to come and, you know, lead
I've got a pretty good dance step. I'm not very good on the vocal side.
Okay, all right. We heard it here. Director Turner said he will come and teach dance.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mark.
A similar question to what Bruce was asking as far as the monies for hiring, you know, hiring somebody, hiring a music teacher, ensuring that we're going to have these dollars, because that's one of the things that we are concerned about, if not hiring and then finding out that we've got to let that person go or whatever. So are there some guarantees in here? Is that, I mean, is that what you're understanding from?
I mean, my understanding is that it's ongoing and that it will be based, because it's a voter-approved ballot, so
Right.
that will continue unless legislation or some other ballot comes into play to end it.
Thank you.
And again, just to add to that, because this was a voter-initiated proposition, it'll have to go back to the voters for us to take it away. So, yeah.
Yes.
My question is, I'm looking at how much each school is getting. Are we going to have to transfer teachers because there's not enough money to pay a teacher at some of these?
They have to be restricted teachers, so above and beyond our base program. Otherwise, we have to hire new lead teachers. So there is some sites that we're still trying to fully implement these dollars, and there's other sites that already have it fully implemented. So that's part of the follow-up and making sure that we help those sites that are still have dollars on the table to ensure that they're implementing this program 100%.
Well, that has been one of the things that I've always said, art and music, so, you know, I'm glad to see that it is funding for it, so, yes. All right, so that was information item only at this point. Okay, we are now moving to consent agenda items. Yeah. Okay, and for the people who are here, I will read the consent agenda items for which we are voting on. Adoption of GCC board meeting minutes, 6/11/24. Personnel consent agenda. Purchases over $30,000. Disposal and surplus technology. Revised curriculum list HLA. Revised curriculum list SAVA, Sacramento Youth Center Internship Program MOU CCS, Sacramento Youth Center MOU CCS, Board Policy Revisions, and SAVA Overnight Field Trip to Washington, D.C. All right.
Move
Any,
approval.
okay.
Second?
Okay, now, discussion on any of the items listed that we just went over. Any discussions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I will do roll call on the consent agenda items. Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Harry Block,
Yes.
Bruce Mandrick,
Yes.
Jack Turner,
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. I do want to ask a little bit more information on the Washington DC trip, if you don't mind. Could you, either one of you? Yeah.
Hello, Board President.
Hello? Yes, would you tell me a little bit more about the trip, when it's going to be, and how the children have talked about doing fundraisers and what have you?
Yes, definitely. So this trip is scheduled to be in March. The dates right now are flexible because we do have to have this approved tonight to be able to then put in a deposit for locking in those dates. So we don't have exact dates, but it is an overnight trip in March that would occur. We are setting up fundraising for our students and our families to be able to pay for this trip. Really, the goal is to fundraise for 100% of it. As we know that the students at SAVA typically come to us in low socioeconomic categories, so we want to make sure that we're providing all the opportunities to do that fundraising at SAVA. Some of the pieces is really utilizing our ASB account better. I've met with GCC Business Services and Andrea on how we can make sure that we're managing this and building out our fundraising activities, but we've talked about, we're starting a store for our merchandise with Jostens, and I want to thank Matt Taylor for helping to support with that. So 10% of those funds will go back towards ASB, towards this project, towards this field trip. We also have a mural that was created for our Sava Lowrider program that we would like to put on shirts using ASB funds that people would buy at different events to go towards this. We talked about reaching out into the community, donors choose. We've got a good list of different activities that we'll be doing to help support and raise money for this.
Okay, thank you. I did have some concerns. I just wanted to hear a little bit more about
Of course.
what the activities will be and how you're going to fundraise, and only about 11 of the students will be able to attend. Is that?
Right now, those are the students that have, and families that have opted into it. It is still open as we start the beginning of the school year for students and families to opt into this. There will be a cutoff date towards the beginning because we will need to lock in those numbers and do those fundraisers. But as anything that we do, it starts small, right? It starts with, 10 students doing this, and then hopefully, families hear about it, students see this experience as something valuable and pertinent towards their education, and that continues to grow. Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Thank you.
Thank you. And, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, better time to go is in April, cherry blossom time.
Thank you. I've not been myself, but we'll look at that for future years.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to business. We did. Didn't we take a vote? Yeah. We took a vote. I just asked for more information on it. Yes. Yeah. It was approved, including the field trip. Everything was approved. Yes. And now we are on the item of the 2024-25 adopted budget.
Hello, good evening again. I will be presenting the 24-25 adopted budget. I'm going to start with some acknowledgements. I usually do them at the end, but I'd like to do them at the beginning just so we know everybody that was involved. Specifically, my business services staff, Valerie Rogers, the Director of Business Services that had to step out, Yvonne and Lillian Matu, Supervisors of Fiscal Services, Andrew Gibson and Cindy Ponikvar, our budget and financial analysts. Human Resources plays a crucial role in this, executive directors, principals, and site support. So it takes a team to create these documents and ensure that all financials are sound and that we are ensuring that we have all the latest information in our reports. And if you're here, you can wave, say hi. So thank you for your hard work. We'll go ahead and get started. So tonight I will be presenting our budget that's based on the assumptions of our governor's May revise. We will continue to monitor the state of the budget. There will be another budget, or final budget, which is our enacted budget in July. Hopefully, we get it in July and it doesn't prolong based on a lot of the political things that are going on. But we are hoping that in July, we will have more information, changes from May revise, and we will bring those back at first interim. Our budget is due to our chartering authority and County Office of Education on June 30th, 2024. So we are on time. Some of the state budget highlights, we went over a lot of these in our last board meeting a week ago. But for those watching us and new to today's presentation, we talked about the May revise state budget that's for education. It's at $102.6 billion. That's going to education. Again, there was a lot of controversy with Prop 98, and our final numbers will come in July. The Legislative Analyst Office still has lower projections of final Prop 98 revenue projections, so we will kind of see where that falls, and we'll see who wins. If the governor's closer, the Legislative Analyst's Office is closer, so it's important to kind of keep an eye on both and kind of see, where each of them kind of lands. Chronic absenteeism, we've talked about that in some of these site presentations, and it continues to be across the state an issue. Expiring one-time funds, compensation cost pressures, increase in PERS of 27.05 is where we're at currently. Insurance premium hikes, and then also the depletion of our Prop 98 reserves by the end of 24-25. All of these are associated with our politics. What's not in our adopted budget is the Prop 98 deal that came in after May revise, which was a deal between CTA and our governor to ensure that we're getting all the dollars that we are entitled to based on our Constitution. So we will get our final enacted budget in July, which hopefully will reflect this deal. Also, what's not in this budget are any one-time grants that are awarded based on either applications or based on demographics. So the LCFF equity multiplier is really unknown until mid-year, and that's really based on factors of the demographics, stability, socioeconomic. So we won't know. So again, one-time grants that are awarded yearly are not in this budget, and then this LCFF equity multiplier also. There are two initiatives, the attendance recovery initiative with the remote learning and the independent study that Chief of Communications Matt Taylor presented on last week. We don't know the impact of those yet. One, we have to wait till they pass, and two, we have to see how that's going to materialize into our ADA or non-enrollment numbers. Talking about enrollment in ADA, here are our numbers. You have your 23-24 CBED numbers. Again, just to remind you, those are numbers in a snapshot in October. And our 24-25 CBEDs are carefully reviewed with our cabinet team, our superintendent, our sites to ensure we're taking everybody's numbers into account and really coming up with the best projection of where we are. We tend to be conservative just because we do not know, the people that are exiting, the students that are exiting and graduating versus students that are coming in, and making sure that we are, being conservative in our approach. We do have some increases though, and I want to highlight those. For COA, We have the CalFit building, as you well know, will open capacity for that site's in waiting list and ensure that we are allowing kids to enroll and build more capacity at that site. Also, Saba Twin Rivers, or the one on North Market, there was another lease that was approved during this year that allowed expansion and allowed to have more students on campus, which it was very touching to hear Director Summer Ash talk about the impact that made to them and how they feel. So, you know, it really touches the work we do in making sure that they have the space that they need to be able to educate these students. The GIS expansion that was been discussed in the last couple board meetings in terms of adding more portables to ensure that we have our TK and kinder kids over on our side, that they're not across the street in the church. Trying to figure out some also waiting list issues. So we're trying to address those to ensure that students that want to attend these schools are allowed to attend these schools. EPIC is also one that's been growing. A couple years ago, they had a dip. Dr. Kosh has made a very hard effort to ensuring that he's getting out in the community, that he's making sure that he's trying to capture families, make it more diverse. And so we've seen a growth at that site. We did secure another suite downstairs to be able to house after-school programs and just the increase in enrollment that we're seeing at that site. The bottom chart shows the P288, which is our final number that we get funded on, to our CBEDS projection number and where we are ADA to enrollment. So as you can see, these percentages are not as high as they could be. And so again, that's what we're seeing statewide with the chronic absenteeism and ensuring that we find ways, alternative ways. And I'm glad, you know, Mr. Manrich was asking those questions. How are you addressing that at your site? That's a very important question. And as we know, the state realizes that this is also something that's an issue across the state. And so they're finding also other initiatives to bring to schools to be able to address or be able to at least ensure that students are getting the work that they're missing, and for us to be able to claim those days that they're not present. Okay. The next slide is our LCFF and our unduplicated pupil percentages. The first slide just shows you what's on the dartboard, what was our target base grants in 23-24, what's the impact of the 1.07 COLA, what we get for grade span adjustment. So we get grade span adjustment for TKers, K-3 and 9-12, and then our final number per ADA. So that gives you an idea of what the base grant is. And then at the bottom, you have your unduplicated pupil percentage, which is your free and reduced English learners and foster youth. So those percentages all make up, with the base grants, make up what we get in LCFF revenue. Okay. Talking about revenue, so we're going to start and go over our revenue projections in the 4 different categories we have. We have LCFF revenue, we have federal revenue, we have state revenue, and we have local revenue. So the first one, LCFF revenue, which I already explained a little bit, it really is based on your P288, your unduplicated, the base grants, the COLA, all those pieces come together to build your LCFF revenue. And so we see an increase of 3.7 million. If you looked at our enrollment, we were up 92 students based on the expansions that we're having in certain particular sites. And so part of it is that, and the other part is our 1.07 COLA. So those things combined make up our 3.7 million in LCFF revenue. In federal revenue, we have a decrease of 2.5 million, and that has to do with the loss of one-time dollars. So our ESSER dollars expire 9/30 of 2024. So we've completely spent those down. Those are not being rolled over into the next year. Carryovers from prior year get dropped and adopted, and also we are seeing flat funding for title programs. Our next slide is still continuing on revenue, and I will focus on the state and the local revenue. State revenue decreased by 3.8 million. The loss or decrease in adopted budget of one-time dollars from arts, music, and instructional supplies, dual enrollment, our CTE programs, so I have to drop those. Those are grants that are applied for every year. Thank you, Ms. Ashley Madden, on applying. This year, we actually received funding for CTIG for 8 of our 9 LEAs. I think next year we're 9 to 9. And we also applied for Golden State Pathways, which we also got approved. So that big drop is partly because that's the majority of it is CTE grants, which at first interim and second interim, you will see those numbers pop back up as we secure funding. The LCFF equity multiplier, we only received it in 23-24 for one of our schools, Empowering Possibilities. Again, like I said, it's based on factors, socioeconomic instability. We might qualify, we might not, and so we will wait to see. Those will get accounted for as we get awarded. Again, carryover revenues from prior year get dropped in our adopted budget. And then a lot of our state programs are impacted by our 1.07 COLA. The next category is local revenue. Our local revenue, we had a lot of grants come through our local revenue. We had our CYBHI or through Haluna Health. We're part of a consortium there that received funding for mental health and other community needs. And so that was recorded in the 23-24 year, dropped in the 24-25 adopted budget. Same with the SCOE Leadership Academy grant. We've used those funds to fund professional development for AI under the leadership of Dr. Gold. And then we have the CARB grant, which is a California Air Resource Grant that was awarded to our SAVAs. As one-time money drops and we start dwindling down our balance, our restricted fund balance, our interest payments will decrease slowly. They'll start coming down as we spent down that fund balance. Donations don't get accounted for until we also receive funding. So those were your revenues. I'm going to move on to your expenditures. We'll start with certificated and classified salaries. There was an increase of 8.2 million. So that increase makes up step and column increases of 3.5 for certificated, 2.5 for classified. Ongoing increases were approved of 1% across all our classifications. And I just want to point out that 80% of the increase is due to vacancies. So either teacher vacancies, special education vacancies, positions we just couldn't hire for in the middle of the year. So it's heavily impacted that we haven't been able to secure and keep our full desired staff. Our benefits are directly correlated with our salaries. But in addition to that, PERS increased from 26.68% to 27.05%. Health and welfare is projected to increase 3% annually. STRS, unemployment, Social Security, and Medicare all stayed the same as prior year, so there's no change in those assumptions. Continuing with our general fund expenditures, For books and supplies, we increased books and supplies by $184,000. We applied the 3.10% consumer price index factor to all our programs that are ongoing. So we had to reduce any one-time expenditures that we don't have secure funding for just yet. So those get dropped off in our adopted budget until we can account for those revenues. The biggest reduction that was made was $284,000 to non-capital equipment. Those are supplies over 500, so usually furniture and equipment. And as you know, our CTE programs have very expensive equipment that require, so that's partly in conjunction or tied to our CTE programs. Services and other operating expenses dropped by $1.3 million. Again, I had to bring down, if we're budgeting the vacancies, then we have to decrease our special education contracts, our general fund contract with Scoot for subs, leaves, vacancies, and other one-time program expired resources expenditures. Capital outlay decreased by $5 million. That's due to the CalFit project that was renovation of that building, and then our CCS CTE expansion and our CCCS TK8 playground that was installed during this year. Other outgo, this is a loan that we acquired through McClellan to secure the expansion of the central office. And so we're paying that over, I believe, 10 years. So that is your expenditures. Okay. These are one of my favorite slides, and for those board members I spoke to over the phone, I said I was going to talk about this slide. So this slide is your beginning balance. So this is where we ended last year and where we're ending this year. So the difference between the two is just your revenue, your current year revenue minus your current year expenditures. So that 1 million is a surplus of the revenue we'll get in 24-25 minus the expenditures we'll have in 24-25. That's our surplus. So this is your unrestricted side of the house. Last year, that number was 2.8. So you can see that the expiration of one-time dollars are going to start impacting your unrestricted general fund. So just wanted to point that out, that as one time goes away, your unrestricted budget will get tighter. And we're starting to see that already. So surplus of 2.8 last year, we're going down to 1 million. So let's go on to the restricted side. So the restricted side had ending fund balance of $13.5 million. We are going to end the 24-25 year with 5.4 million. And obviously this is not including any new money that we get through the year that we apply for. So this is just a snapshot as we know right now, which is a decrease of 8 million to the fund balance. So current revenue in this 24-25 year minus your restricted expenses is negative 8 million, and that's going to hit against your beginning balance, right? So it's just bringing those dollars down. It's eating up your one-time dollars, right? Once that goes away, then we'll be at zero. We'll just have to operate with what we get. Some of the dollars that are carrying over in that 5.4 million are stated below. I won't read them all, but a lot of it is with ELOP. ELOP is one of our biggest restricted resources that is carrying a lot of that, a lot of the fund balance in the restricted side of the house. Risks moving forward, the chronic absenteeism, Prop 98 conundrum, or the deal that's still happening in government and politics. So we'll see how that plays out. Depletion of Prop 98 by the end of 24-25. Possible cash deferrals. State deficit spending and how that impacts education. compensation pressures, pension cost increases for CalPERS, increase in inflation, interest rates, and unemployment, declining California gross domestic product. So that just means it's slow growth. And then our geopolitical factors, the Russian-Ukrainian war, the Middle East conflicts, cyber attacks, U.S.-China relations, and then also expiring one-time resources, also known as the fiscal cliff. And then just to highlight more on the cyber attacks, we just received an email today from Sacramento County Office of Ed saying that we will have dual identification in our accounting system, which they've been trying to implement. It's to ensure that we don't have hackers going into our system, which seems like it's more and more prevalent. So we are with the county office that's taking measures in this and taking it seriously. And that is the end of my presentation. Any questions? I will entertain any questions before a motion.
Omar, I just,
Mr. Chairman.
I can't say enough, but please tell your staff that I really appreciate that, and I know the board does too, the clarity and information on the budget. Oh, and I have to learn to use the mic. Anyway, I really want to say that it's well presented and very informative. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but one of the reasons I have kind of focused on the chronic absenteeism, those are students that we don't have to recruit. Those are our own students that we have that are enrolled, and we really need to work with the leadership and our staff to really emphasize that if they really are dealing with budget issues and are concerned about, and I know growth is good, but this is resources that I know I've been pushing that, but I think we need to do that across the GCC to say that this is really students that not only benefits us with greater resources, but obviously those students are now taking the classes and it benefits them. It's an absolute win-win. I really support your concept of the status quo and enrollment. I think that's a very, very good place for us to begin there. The restricted, you talked about the unrestricted budget getting tighter. I think this is a message to the board and to the staff that we just have to be watching that, because that could, if we try to maintain, if we don't get the funding from the state, and I noticed you didn't use the term maneuvers that we heard last time, but if the state the maneuvers are only putting off the issue. And I think that is the one thing that we need to really be careful with, our unrestricted, as you has emphasized. Another comment is the PERS increase, although STRS has maintained status quo, the PERS increase is almost, it's something we can't continue to do. It's, the state is not giving us the resources to pay for that. The districts, and we have to come up with those dollars somewhere. And I think you're putting your finger right on it when you emphasize that that is something that is going to be a chronic problem for the GCC. Again, I just want to say thank you. And I know we're looking at a very, very bleak future, perhaps not next year, but I think the year following will be a very, very challenging time for all of the educational sites in the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, Mr. Mandrake.
Microphone. I want to thank Elmira and her staff for the budget presentation, and I think what it shows is that this is a very well-managed organization fiscally. Obviously, the schools are well schooled in one-time money and how to manage their budgets, and I'm very impressed with what I see from both GCC centrally and from the school sites in terms of their abilities to manage things. Going back to enrollment versus ADA a little bit, I know that's really an outcome largely of the pandemic. Is that something that's pretty uniform statewide, that enrollment
Yeah,
drop?
that's when the state has seen the drop is after the pandemic.
Okay.
And I think even for us, we used to have our SAVAs in the 100% percentile, and now it's dropping. And so, yeah, it's since then.
And you're right, it is statewide. You know, we get reports, I get reports frequently about enrollment all over the state and what can we do to increase enrollment and the absenteeism. Yeah. Yes, Jack, I'm sorry. I thought you did.
Myra, just going back to the presentation, so you've built in a 1% increase, payroll increase?
I did.
Okay, and how does that get communicated out? Because this is really a major decrease from, well, what has it been, 3%?
Our superintendent.
Yes, so, last year, if you remember, the board, I believe, gave a 8% increase, and then this year, we communicated to staff that when we approved our salary schedule was a 1%. Traditionally, we have actually been about 1 to 1.5% annually. And then each of our steps and columns are usually either 3.5 or 2.5%. So this year, we just really pretty much remain consistent with what we've given staff in the past.
And the fact that we're communicating that out.
Yes.
People understand that up front. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And, just to add to that, the other thing that we did do in terms of looking at staff salaries was what was our competitiveness within the market. So we saw that in terms of charter schools, we are more competitive for salaries at all levels. And then for a number of our district partners that are of similar size, we are likewise more competitive, so.
I'm sorry, I think Mr. Mandrick had, yes.
I just wanted to emphasize in terms of the unrestricted ending balances, the surplus is going down, and I'm not sure if everyone realizes that it's still a surplus. And so we're still well enough managed that in spite of what's happening at the state and federal level, we're still maintaining, it's a smaller surplus than we've had in the past, but a lot of districts are fighting to even maintain just a zero balance in terms of their surplus. So that's just another indicator that we are well managed. There was an article in the paper today on TK and how districts are generally underutilizing that program. I know that's not really included statistically, but it seems to be a well-funded program. How are we in terms of utilization of TK?
Do you want to
Do we
speak
have
to that?
any, this is just an off-the-wall thought, but
Executive Director DeQuay can share kind of how we are.
Thank you, Mr. Manrich. All of our schools that are TK through 8 or TK through 12 have TK programs, and we have as many classes as we have space for. And we have some wait list at some of our schools as well. And we've not only enrolled our students who fit within the birth date for the year, we're also doing early enrollment and early admittance at a couple of schools. We know they're going to be our students for kindergarten, so the sooner we can get them in to benefit from TK, the better it serves our students and their families.
I think that's admirable. Thank you.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. I'm sorry, I was busy trying to get rid of this little critter that was up here. Okay, one of the things that I appreciate is that, and I've said it before, that the staff realizes that some things are changing, and it's not always going to be the same as it has been. So I appreciate the fact that you're working with the administrative staff to make sure. And now, if there are no more questions or comments, we will entertain a motion for approval of the 24-25 adopted budget.
So moved.
So move?
Second.
All right. It has been moved in second. Any more comments or statements? Hearing none, I will do roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Harry Block?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick?
Yes.
Mr. Jack Turner?
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. And with thanks to you and the staff, we still have a couple more here. So we thank you, budget people, for your hard work and your dedication. So the adopted budget has been approved unanimously. So thank you again, with acclamations for you and your staff. Thank you. All right. Moving on now to adoption of the fiscal year 2024-25 Local Control Accountability Plan.
Move approval.
LCAP. Move approval? All right.
Second.
It has been moved in second. Do we have more discussion or comments on this item? Mr. Block? No? Okay, then we will have roll call for this item for approval. Mr. Mark Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Harry Block?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick?
Yes.
Mr. Jack Turner?
Yes.
And Lily Campbell, yes. So, Mr. Elliott, that has been approved unanimously, the local control plan. And under personnel, item declaration of need for fully qualified educators. That was sent to you in your budget. And do you have any comments or
I
questions?
move approval.
Move approval?
Second.
All right, it has been moved. No, any discussion? Any more discussions on this item? Hearing none, roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Harry Block?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick?
Yes.
Mr. Jack Turner?
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. So the declaration of need for fully qualified educators has been approved, and with the comments. All right. We are now moving to board comments. We're almost there. Almost
I
there.
have to leave. I got a slight emergency.
Okay. All right. Yes.
I'm a woodworker, and it was a very nice cutting board that we, would you happen, to put you on the spot, would you happen to know what wood that was, is?
By wood expertise, I'm looking at pine, possibly?
I don't think it was pine. No, it was not pine.
I think it's walnut.
It is.
It might be walnut, yeah.
It's actually beautiful, very beautiful.
Mr. Mang, would you like a board study session item at a future meeting on the,
No.
okay, just checking, we can note that.
All right, closing comments. Yes, Mr.
Oh, I
Turner.
just want to say, I wanted to thank the presenters. Thank you for the informative presentation, and it still looks like a paddle to me, so there you have it. Anyway, thank you, and we won't be seeing a lot of you until later in the summer, so please take some time and enjoy it and come back with the same energy you have now. I was observing, it's phenomenal, at the end of the school year, you have at this high level and this level of energy. I can't imagine what it's like at the beginning of the year with all the ideas. Anyway, thank you
That's
again.
Anything else from the other board members? And I want to thank you in my closing comments for all of your hard work. And that goes for those of you who are listening and those of you who are still with us. We really appreciate your commitment and your dedication to education and the students and the parents. And we want you to take some time, again, I'm repeating myself, but we really do want you to take some time for yourselves and revitalize and energize you and come back ready for, and it's not that long either. A couple of weeks, gosh. So with that, anything else for the good of the organization? Okay, Hearing none, I will, the next board meeting,
July 23rd.
July 23rd for the next board meeting. Okay, thank you. And so with that, I will entertain a motion for
I'll move to adjourn.
Move to
Second.
adjourn, the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very, very much.